What's up, everybody? Welcome back. So I was really hoping to work on the Moto 4 today, but it's not going to happen. We had an accident at the Busted Beater compound. So go ahead and roll that footage and show you what happened. This is my brother Joe Cool out here, you know, one hand on the wheel, just cruising, and bam, hits the root cluster. So in case you missed that, we'll zoom in. Bam. Not good. Here's footage of the crime scene. So he was ripping it through here, hit Mach 5. Came up into this root cluster, and I believe it was this root here where all that dirt's kind of spread out. I think that's the root that ended up taking out the mower. Looking at the damage, this deck got hit on this side and it pushed that whole deck back. And then on this side, it pulled that deck forward. You can see how it's really close to that tire. If we look under here, you can see where that weld didn't break. The weld still welded to the deck, but the deck actually peeled and it just cracked that whole deck the whole way around this bracket here. So we're gonna have to pull this entire deck off. We'll get the mower out of here and we'll have to see what we can do about that. Hopefully we'll be able to get that welded back on and she'll be good to go. To start things off, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this whole hood, get that out of here. Then I'll probably throw some blocks underneath the deck, get it lowered, and I'll start pulling the pins and get that deck off of here. So I never really removed the deck from the mower, especially not this one. I think how I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw these 2x4s underneath here, and I'll drop the deck the whole way, and then should be able to pull the pins and get that thing released. So underneath here, we got all these clips that look pretty simple to use. You just kind of pull this out. And you can now slide the clip past it and come right off. So we got that guy there. We got one up here. There's also this guy in the front. And then we got the belt. So we'll start getting all those out. Since the deck is pushed so far forward, this belt is extremely loose, so we don't have to do anything special there. I'm thinking we can just pull this guy around and take it off the motor this way. I'm thinking now we can go ahead and pull this deck out. The only thing we got to be careful of is this cable. This goes up to this lever, which is what actually engages the blade. Before I pull that out, looks like this cable goes up to here and runs across to this spring. And I believe if I pull that spring out, that's what's holding this little washer in and that cable. So I think if I pull the spring out, it'll release both the washer and the cable. I'll be able to disconnect this from the mower, and that cable will follow that deck out. Disconnecting that cable is actually fairly easy. Now we're gonna be able to slide this deck and get it out of the way. I'm gonna pull this mower out of the garage, that way we get a little more room to work. But let's just take a look underneath here, make sure nothing's damaged. Looking at this pin, looks fine. This rod back here actually looks fine. It's supposed to have these bends in it. Doesn't look like it was bent anywhere it wasn't supposed to be. And down on this side, this pin's fine. This rod is also in good shape, so glad to see that. Frame looks good. This front rod, it's supposed to have that bend. It all looks fine. So everything on the mower end looks pretty good. The deck is fully out. We're gonna clean up all that grass, especially if we're gonna be welding on it. We don't wanna catch this thing on fire. right side bracket, that looks pretty square. Over here looks pretty square. This one we know is not gonna be square, it's pretty broken. So that guy's bent. Then up in front here, that little bracket there looks bent. But it doesn't look like the metal's deformed and this weld's not cracked, so I think that this guy's good. So I think the only issue we got is that bracket there. Before I end up cutting through this cable or melting any of this plastic, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this guy. All it is a spring on this end, and then this little plastic clip should just pull through. Just to be sure, I can relocate the bracket right where it needs to go. Just gonna scribe out some lines a little bit past where I weld. Well, that's a lot of paint. And this bracket will go somewhere in there. I just did that because I'm going to be cleaning up this whole area. Once I get it welded, I'm not going to be able to tell exactly where that bracket needs to go. Next on the list is going to be cleaning up this bracket. I'm going to get all that old weld off and clean up all these surfaces, both sides. Basically get that bracket ready to weld. Got our bracket all cleaned up. Next, we're going to clean up the mower deck. We'll start with the outside. And based on the amount of rust that's actually inside of all this, I'm going to have to say that this was cracking way before my brother hit that root. And it looks like here there's some fresh cracking, and then that's where I caught it with the grinder. But it honestly looks like this was cracking way before he smacked it with that root, but when he hit it with the root going Mach 5, definitely just killed that off. This bracket here is going to get in the way of cleaning, so it has this like scribe line almost on it. So what we're going to do is just mark exactly where that line needs to go, and that way we're going to take this bracket off so we can clean this whole surface, and we'll know exactly where that needs to go. We'll go to put it back on. This is what our underside looks like. And there's that damaged area, so you can see we have a good bit of work to do, just cleaning all that up before we can actually start welding. Got the miller hooked up, just about ready to weld. And down here, went ahead and beat this metal back flush. Then where that's cracked the whole length, I took the cutoff wheel and I dug a groove in. That'll just give us good penetration. And then there was also a little crack here, so I cut that crack out. And then there was a crack up in here, so I also cut that out using the cutoff wheel. If you leave the cracks and weld over them, it's just gonna crack again. So you wanna be sure you cut those out and give it some new material. And then these big old openings here, I'm gonna just take a piece of copper, stick it behind there, and it's just all gonna be weld material. I'm just gonna fill that whole thing with weld. This will get filled with weld, and we'll just weld this whole thing out. We've got the weld cam hooked up. It's just the phone taped inside that helmet. That's recording. We're gonna put a couple spot tacks in there just to keep it from warping when we weld it, and we'll get to welding. Now that we welded that up from the inside, this is what the outside looks like. So we definitely got some good penetration. I'm gonna go ahead, sand all this down, grind it off, get it flush, and then we'll probably run another pass or a couple passes over where we don't have good fusion. Kind of like that little crack in there and little spots in here. We'll see once we get it cleaned up. Aiming for perfect, we're just aiming for good enough. I just want this thing to function, and this is what the outside looks like. Not too bad. There's some little pits and everything, but I'm not worried about it. That looks pretty good. So we'll get this thing flipped over, check out the inside. We still have all those welds on the inside we need to grind down. Grind that down. Might have some touch up to do, might have some little spots we got to put in there. Get that done, and then we should be able to start getting this bracket on. This is what it looks like on the inside, all complete. Pretty happy with how it turned out. I cleaned both the deck and this bracket, and I got everything held in place with magnets. Looks like this lines up with that line. This guy's lining up with that line. I like the way it looks. From the factory, they did not weld the inside here, but they probably had some sort of fixture that held that bracket in place to keep it from warping when they welded it. I don't have that convenience here. I'm going to tack it all in place, and I'm going to run a couple little passes on the inside. That way when I go to weld this outside, it's not going to pull this too far out of whack. Otherwise that heat will just draw this part and it'll twist it, and it's not going to be square anymore. But if I run some tacks on this side, that'll help pull it this way and hold it in place as I weld it. I'm not the best welder by any means, but that'll hold, and that's all I care about. So she's pretty much back to normal. I'll just throw some paint on it. I'll probably clean up some of that grass out of the bottom, and we'll get it back on the mower. While we're waiting for this paint to dry, we're going to remove these blades and get them sharpened. May as well do it while we got everything off. Here's that bracket, all finished up. It's all painted. Color match is close enough. Normally what you would want to do is you'd want to tack that bracket in, put it back on the mower, check to be sure it works. I went with the whole cross your finger and pray method. We'll see if it pays off. Fully welded. Got the blades nice and sharpened. I think we're about ready to put this thing back under the mower, see if it fits. was pretty dumb. As I was backing it in here, this little edge where it goes from the asphalt to the concrete caught this bar and it bent it all up. So now we get to fix that. Hook all these linkages back up. This guy, we'll do the other side, and then we'll do that front piece last because we can tighten that down. I did forget to put all of these components. These go up towards the engine, but I did forget to put all these back on. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. I believe I can get down in there and get it done. Should have done it with the deck off, but live and you learn. So, took it for a test ride. And this deck is still pushed way back, so when you're turning, it's rubbing right here. The only thing we can think of to fix that problem is down on the bracket, drilling another hole right in here. That'll push the whole deck backwards and hopefully I'll avoid that issue. So this is actually threaded. We'll take that out. We'll drill a hole in this bracket, put a nut on the back. We should be good. So this is what the bracket looks like, all fixed up. We still got some work to do up on the hood, but that'll be a project for another day. Next week I'm hoping to get back on the Moto 4, so stay tuned for those videos. Make sure you like and subscribe.